Welcome back to Wrestling World. Today we'll be revisiting the Liv Morgan return because AEW star Miro, who also took part in that storyline, recently opened up and revealed a lot about what was going on back then. We'll also take a look at why Triple H is furious and disappointed with the talent. So let's get into it, starting off with what I still view as one of the most mishandled storylines of the year, and that was Liv Morgan vs. Lana. As you know, there was a lot of hype leading up to Liv Morgan's return. WWE even started airing these teasers of Liv Morgan addressing her return, and it seemed like she was talking to someone directly. We later found out that she was talking to Lana. Lana and Bobby Lashley had their wedding, and the way WWE weddings are set up, you're basically anticipating and expecting a moment to happen that will cause the wedding to be destroyed. That's just WWE tradition when it comes to weddings. So that's what we were waiting for. Turns out, the big shocking moment in the wedding was Liv Morgan making her return after being gone from WWE for 5 to 6 months. It's safe to say it was unexpected. No one really predicted that to happen, but it did. Liv Morgan admitted her love to Lana, and that's what caused the wedding to go crazy. If you noticed, and we definitely touched on this before, there was zero follow-up to that huge moment. Absolutely nothing at all followed up Liv's reveal to Lana. Miro, who was with WWE at the time as Rusev, recently opened up and gave some insight on why there was no story there and what was going on behind the scenes. During an interview with Chris Van Vliet, Miro was asked about the story and if the follow-up was cancelled. Miro had this to say about that topic. No plan, a one-time pop. A lot of things were made for one-time pops. People thought it was the worst thing and it meant all these things. No, it was a one-time thing that was going to get people talking. At the time, the showrunner was about getting people talking and controversy. That's how the whole thing happened. The Bobby thing. It was about the controversy and all that. We achieved that. Unfortunately, now there was no follow-up. That's what happens when you change people all the time. There's no follow-through. You revealed CJ, Lana, to leave her husband and be the worst, and she's still the baddest heel on their show. And she did all of this for what? To throw everything away the year before? Like nobody remembers that. Miro compared this situation to AEW, and he claimed that AEW storylines are already thought out well in advance. He had this to say: Lana does everything right, but it doesn't matter because at the end of the day, somebody gets tired and everything gets thrown away. While in AEW, we don't do that. We follow through. We follow along the stories. And one story leads into another and another. And they're all so easy to follow, and it makes sense. It's not throwing away stuff. Not, let's move on and forget what happened yesterday. None of that, man. Everything is thought out way in advance, as it should be, as it used to be. I loved every single thing of what Miro had to say because that's the exact view I always had. I enjoy the long-term storylines that are constantly unfolding new things and taking us on this never-ending journey. I can't stand these one-night pop stories because they serve no purpose. They're completely useless. They're just basically just shock value filler. The one-night pops also claim to be a specialty of Paul Heyman. Heyman is a creative genius, but they just lose me when it comes to these one-night stories. Look at Maria Kanellis' pregnancy storyline, Liv's return, plus Lana and Bobby Lashley's relationship. All three storylines that basically never went anywhere. And like Miro said, it's just like, well, let's move on and forget what happened. And it's just not right. There was so much potential for the Liv Morgan and Lana story. I'll never understand the point of having a one-night pop to get fans talking for 1 week when you can actually be getting them to talk about it for several weeks if you could just give us an actual well-thought-out story to follow. I'll never understand one-night pops. Why not advance the story for multiple weeks? Why drop it after 1 week? As well as the other issue of acting like a story never happened is also a problem. Like Miro explained about Lana and Bobby Lashley, they split Rusev and Lana up. They turned her into this huge heel. And then they're like, well, let's break Bobby Lashley and Lana up, making everything we saw during the prior months completely useless and pointless. That's what I personally don't like. WWE has some amazing, well thought out storylines, such as Sasha Banks vs. Bayley, but then they have these other storylines that feel like they have no real direction, and I see that as an issue. I feel like you should at least have a storyline fully thought out before you introduce it on television, because if you don't know where you're going with the story, then how do you expect viewers to get invested in it? But that was Miro's reveal about that entire storyline. There was no plan for Liv Morgan and Lana at all following the wedding. They just wanted to get that cheap shock value for one single week. Triple H has been very active with several interviews, just giving his thoughts on what's going on and WWE's future. As we know, WWE isn't in the clear quite yet. They had their initial outbreak in the Performance Center several months ago, and there was recently another outbreak that affected NXT and WWE Clash of Champions. Triple H was recently interviewed and shared his thoughts on several topics, including WWE's future plans and his frustration with some talent not following the proper precautions. Triple H had this to say: "These situations where positives come up and we go back and very extensively contact trace and go back and quarantine those people. This is for the safety and well-being of everybody. We feel very confident that once we've done all that, hopefully we've isolated it and can go on doing what we were doing, and everybody that walks into the building and is a part of what we're doing is safe. You do the same thing that everyone else is doing in every walk of life. I think sometimes people think that this is over. It's not. We're still all having to deal with it. Be smart, be safe, wear masks, take all the precautions you can. For our talent, we're very much urging them to social distance, to keep away from others, and to stay inside that bubble. We're currently asking people to do everything they can. Not thrilled when people do things that they're not supposed to. But again, we're asking them to be as responsible as possible in their personal lives. But it is still their personal lives." So yeah, WWE can't control what a superstar does in their personal lives. But in times like this, Triple H revealed that they're asking their talents to just be a bit more responsible and safe. There's been a lot of rumors that WWE is getting back on the road soon. Their contract with the Amway Center expires in the end of October, and their next move is unknown. Triple H also addressed that rumor and said that they simply don't know when they'll be in different cities every night, and that they're still in the thick of things. So it doesn't look like WWE will be getting back on the road anytime soon. We've been hearing lots of rumors that WWE wants the Royal Rumble to definitely have a live crowd in January, but that's questionable as well. I feel like WWE is getting closer and closer to bringing back some version of a live crowd back, especially for a big show like Royal Rumble and WrestleMania. But as far as touring and being in a new city every single night, I just can't see that realistically happening anytime soon. Like Triple H said, he thinks it's going to be a long time before they can start that back up again. There's already rumors that superstars don't want to start traveling anytime soon, which is obviously understandable. What are your thoughts on today's stories? How do you feel about WWE's one-night pop storylines? Are they good for the WWE, or do they hurt the product? How do you feel about Triple H's comments as well? Leave your comments, don't forget to subscribe, and leave a like if you enjoyed. Thanks for watching, guys.